I want to tell you something today that I think more women need to hear. Choosing yourself will cost you. Now, I don't say that to scare you. I say it because I think too many women start this work believing if I do the healing, this will happen. When I set the boundaries, this will change. If I start telling the truth, everything will be better. And eventually that's probably the truth, yes. But at first, it's hard. Welcome back to Unlearning the Good Girl. This episode matters because I think it's one of the biggest reasons women stay stuck, in that nobody prepared them for what change actually asks of them. Choosing yourself is beautiful. It's freeing. It's healing. But it's not comfortable in the beginning, because choosing yourself means changing patterns. And changing patterns means changing dynamics. That's where this gets real. I remember one of the first times I held a boundary that I would have normally bent a little. And I knew it was the right boundary. It felt clear, it felt grounded, but it still felt uncomfortable. Not because I was wrong, but because it disrupted my pattern. That pattern of always giving in, always making everyone else feel comfortable. That was destroying me, but this felt destroying too. So they were both hard. But you know what? I chose the hard that mattered. Sometimes it's hard to see and it's really hard to hear. But when you are the person who's always been the easy one, the dependable one, the helper, the peacekeeper, people get used to that version of you. And sometimes they rely on that version of you. They need you to be that person because it keeps them comfortable. And when you start changing, it can definitely cause friction. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the system is adjusting. Many women think, well, if they're upset, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But in truth, the reality is their discomfort is simply evidence that the old pattern is changing. And their discomfort is theirs to manage. We don't manage everyone else's discomfort and their emotions. We have to manage ours. Do other people backpedal on their boundaries when it makes you uncomfortable? Most of the time, the answer to that is no, they don't. We have to deal with our discomfort, our disappointment, our grief, because they're not going to deal with it for us. Why do we have to deal with theirs and make them comfortable? That's the thing I really want you to hear. Their discomfort is simply evidence that pattern is changing. It doesn't make the boundary wrong. It makes it new. New feels uncomfortable. Your nervous system, when you do something new, says, whoa, wait a minute. We don't know if we can survive this because we've never done it. And your brain tells your nervous system to do things and alert it when there's something new, because your brain needs pattern. Your brain needs familiarity. And when you change that, your brain says, wait a minute, can't do this. Hold up. Everybody stop what they're doing. This is going to kill us. We are going to die. Certain death is imminent. And that's not the truth. But it is what we feel. Have you ever made a decision and held true to it? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm certainly going to die because of this. And I'm not talking like literal death, but it feels like your whole world is collapsing. That's the truth. And that's the discomfort. Choosing yourself can cost you that kind of discomfort. But I promise you it's all worth it. Because choosing you may also cost being seen as easy, being available all the time, being everyone's first phone call, being the person who honestly always says yes. And honestly, it may cost you relationships, friendships. It may change the dynamics of relationships. I want you to ask yourself something. Was that connection really based on truth? Or was it built on my overfunctioning? So I'm going to tell you about a client story. I had a client who came to me in tears one day. And she said, I went and saw my friend, and I told my friend I couldn't help her. And my friend spent 60 minutes making me feel horrible. She said all these things to me that were mean, and how I wasn't helpful, and how I wasn't really her friend, and how I never was, and how I've always helped her in the past. So why wouldn't I do this? When this woman's telling me this stuff, I'm writing down, this is a contradiction. Her friend is contradicting herself. Her friend is not her true friend. And so I let her just vent for a little while. And then I calmly stopped her. And I said, here's the thing. This woman, if this woman truly cared about you as a person, she would not say these things. She would understand what you need out of life and what you need out of this situation. She would not expect you to cater to her. At least not an hour's worth of ranting over it, right? And so she sat with that for a long time. And then all of a sudden she said, you're right. She's never been my friend. It's always been about what I can give her. I've never gotten anything in return from her, nor have I ever asked her for anything. This has always been a one-sided relationship. And she used the word friendship. And I said, it's not a friendship. It's a relationship. That's different. She had no idea how much this woman was taking from her until she couldn't take it anymore. Most of the time, we as women don't realize how much of our identity has become intertwined with being needed. And she liked that this woman needed her. She wanted this woman to need her, but she didn't want to lose her peace over it. And when she finally realized that's what she needed, this woman was angry. And I told my client, I said, you don't have to tolerate that. You don't have to stay with that. Because when you stop overgiving, it does feel like you're losing yourself. And that's what she said to me. She said, but if I don't do it, she's not my friend anymore. And I said, she's not your friend in the first place. And those are hard things to hear. But that's honestly what I tell my clients, because they get to then decide if they want to stay in those kinds of relationships. It's not that because I say it, they have to leave them. Maybe they want to stay in them. Maybe that's what they need. That's fine. That's their decision. But I'm simply pointing out that you don't have to. If you feel like you're losing yourself in these situations, I want you to know you're not. You are meeting yourself for the first time in a long time, meeting the real you, because that's the shift. And yes, choosing yourself may cost you comfort, but look at what it gives you. gives you peace, clarity, energy, self-respect, space to breathe, space to think, space to feel, space to actually hear yourself again. The trade is worth it, but only if you're willing to tolerate the discomfort of being someone more honest, because that's the work. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to yourself. That's a different story. So if you have your notebook, I have some reflection questions for you. What am I afraid to lose if I start choosing myself? Whose disappointment feels hardest for me to tolerate? What roles have I built my identity around? What relationships depend on me abandoning myself? And what might I gain if I stopped living for approval? Sit with those. Choosing yourself may cost you what was never sustainable. And that loss can make room for something far more honest. This is where we do the work. This is what we do. So when something comes up for you, drop it in the notes. Leave me a comment. Send me an email. You can always find me at thankfulheartscoaching@gmail.com. And if you want to do deeper work, go to www.thankfulheartscoaching.com/choose you. Download that guide and start doing that. Come in and let me know, because these are the things that I can help you with. So if you liked this episode, leave it 5 stars. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave it a review. If you're on YouTube, definitely give it that thumbs up. Subscribe. Those are all ways you can get more of it. And if you really want to be a part of it, shoot me an email or download that guide again, and that'll put you on my email list. And that way you get more of this. But before you go, I have one last question. What if the life you want requires disappointing the version of you that kept everyone else comfortable? What if that's the life you really desire? And in order to do that, you have to let other people sit with their own emotions. That's what I'd love for you to finally answer. Okay, until next time.